Here we go, guys, with another video. We are with round 5 of the Edmar Mednis Memorial there from Elite Chess. Of course, Elite Chess, we had it through them, but it was actually in Nebraska hosted there. So we in round 5. You guys checked out round 4. If you haven't, make sure you go check it out. I'll put the playlist under the video. Before we get started, though, subscribe. Hit the sub button. It's free. And we're at 30,000 plus subscribers now. So on our road to 100K. So we're going to be pushing out videos, especially the long form content for you guys to watch on top of the shorts that we are doing very, very well in. Views are up, subscribers are up. So shout out to you watching at home. Now, this is round 5 against Shalev Oberoi here. I played him 3 times. He's a national master on paper, very strong player. In fact, has I think 3 IM norms already, something like that. So just looking to get 2,400 FIDE, I think. So he's a very strong player. Shalev Oberoi, though, actually, we played 3 times. The first time that we played, it was a draw. It was a draw. And then the second time we played, I won with black, and it was the French defense: e4, e6, d4, d5, knight c3, bishop e7. So that's what happened there. Very strange. And then the next one, or the last game that we played, was this one here with black. So here we go. Now, let's get started with that. Here, he played white, d4, knight f6. Oh, the title of this one is called Heartbreak. Heartbreak. Let's see why. d4, knight f6, bishop f4, and he's actually an e4 player. So, you know, I was expecting a c3 Sicilian and Alpin stuff that he plays already. You know, we play c3 Sicilian for the kill here, so he likes c3 Sicilian. But yeah, he played d4, so it kind of threw me off. But I'm just gonna stick to my guns, right? I love King's Indian, so he went bishop f4. London style, I go g6, knight f3, bishop g7, and e3. All standard stuff. Castles, bishop e2, and d6. We're also gonna keep these videos short, around maybe 15 minutes max, really. Really 20 max. I think the last one was like 18 minutes, but we're gonna try to keep them short, so we want to get to the point, show you guys some good tips and etc. things that you can play in your own games and get on about our day. So, all right, d6 and h3. This move is usually to tuck the bishop on h2. There's a bunch of ways you can play. I actually, literally, before we even did this video, I was checking out the Indian Championship. Shout out to SP Seth Thorman. But he played a knight c6 e5 type of way. I was like, oh, that's interesting. He had a losing position somewhere in there later on, but you know, it's just hard to see against another grandmaster. But this is a way I've never actually seen, knight c6 e5, but I just learned that today. So something that you can play, but it's very flexible. Knight bd7, you can go rook e8. I like the Gawain Jones way, and also MVL, who plays this too, which is b6. This is just a natural move. What you're doing is the double fianchetto. The double fianchetto you can use almost against every setup, which is a really nice way to stay flexible and etc. So I went with the most flexible route, which is b6. And our idea is stuff like bishop b7, knight b to d, play c5 or e5 at some point, and this knight can come into e4 because we are kind of lacking space sometimes, but it opens up our bishop on the long diagonal as well. So he goes castles, I go bishop b7, staying true to what I'm doing. He goes bishop h2, tucking the bishop, knight b to d7. He goes c3, sort of the London setup, basically. They can always do this type of setup, put the bishop on h2, bishop e2. It's just what they do. So I go knight e4 because I remember this just being a move here. I was just playing. I was like, okay, I'll play knight e4, you know, just kind of seeing what he's going to do. I could have played rook e8 as well. Then he goes knight f to d2. Was not expecting this when I was expecting knight b to d2. So now in this position, what would you play with the black pieces? I actually played something original here. So what would you play in this position? Black to move. Okay, and the move I chose here was knight f6. So I went with the knight f6 move. This one's different. It's original. I just went back. And the reason why is I did not want to, like, you know, concede to what he wants, right? So yes, you know, he moved his knight, you know, to, let's look at this. He moved his knight from f back to d2. So I'm just going to move mine back as well. Like, and then if we repeat, actually, if he would have went knight f3, I would have probably chose something else. But he didn't. I think he went yeah, he went a4. He did something else. But now these knights are kind of strange. He is going to have to move this one to get this one out. And my knight, cool, I didn't want to really trade yet. I wanted to kind of fight here, right? So that's why I played knight f6. He goes a4. I go a5. He goes knight a3 with knight b5 or knight c4 type ideas. So I go e5. I take this time to strike in the center. E5. This is very strong and bolstered. Really not a lot going on. Not a lot that I can do. I can play rook e8, but I'm just kind of waiting to get my chance. I also like how strong this bishop is. And if he tries to trade it off, I might play e4. So he goes knight b5, trying to tie my queen down. My rook's not doing anything on the file anymore. So I take this time to put the rook on the c file to defend the c7 pawn. Then he goes bishop f3, which is very natural. And if I trade, it kind of just opens up his pieces. I have less space. So what do? It's kind of counterintuitive because a lot of times you want to kind of restrict this bishop. But here, okay, you know what? I'm not going to really push these pawns as much. Let's see what happens. I go e4. So I attack this bishop. He moves it back. And then I find another nice move here to kind of free some things up. Black to move in this position. Pause the video if you need to. What do we do? Okay, here we go. So actually, oh, there's people doing lawn care out there now. I can hear the lawn guy cutting grass in our complex. So if you hear that, that's shout out to the lawn guys cutting grass at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. But we still hear though. So after bishop e2, I go knight d5, and this knight d5 option, what this is if knight takes e4, knight takes e3. I'm gonna attack. I'm gonna take this knight here with the bishop. Right. This nice little fork. This was my whole idea, and I should be better here. It's pretty nice. So especially with that pawn being weak on e3, like knight takes, pawn takes, bishop takes, and this is gonna be a forever weak kind of pawn. So. All right, now backing up after knight d5, he goes queen c2 to attack it. But I also wanted to move this knight because a lot of times, you know, in King's Indian period, you push this f pawn, which is what I played in the game. f5, he goes b4, taking some chances to try to like really, you know, push open this side of the board. He's gonna, you know, there's a tactic here. I'll show you. Takes. What he's hoping for is for me to take on b4 with the knight, which is gonna be not the greatest because after queen b3, I have to go back and defend. You know, because my knight's hanging, and then here after there's bishop c4. I can go knight f6, but he just kind of piles up on this piece a lot of times. Knight c3, I have to go c6, and there's a lot of counterplay. I'm just not trying to give up, right? So I didn't go for this. In fact, what I chose was f4 because I'm like, all right, cool, I'm gonna go for it. Now I'm attacking e3. If you take this pawn, I take on e3. I also can play maybe f3 at some point too as well. And if you take this pawn like this, pawn takes, I have knight takes, there's bishop takes, and then rook takes on f4. So, and it opens up the bishop for me. So really happy about this move. He goes bishop c4, attacks the knight. So I take first, and then he goes knight takes e4, and then I move my king out of the way. So now I can have access to moving the knight. And then things get very, very sharp here, right? He goes rook e1. So I'm like, oh, that feels like a blunder to me. So I follow up with bishop h6, not a blunder, but just maybe an inaccuracy. Knight takes e3 is coming. Bishop takes, and here at this point, I'm feeling good. I'm clear. I have a clear edge. I have both the bishops, and you know, I have a pawn here. It feels like some things are going to collapse. My pieces are getting free. So what does he do? He goes bishop to g3, and then I go queen e7 to get the queen off the line. I don't want anything to. He can probably sack here too as well, but he's giving up some material. I'm also just attacking this knight. So he goes f3. And I'm like, wait a second, this rook is trapped. So here we go. I go bishop c4. I'm hitting the rook. You know, this is a great game. I'm feeling good coming off a win already. This game is going well. It's already like -2 at this point. So he goes b takes, and I take the rook. And then I play d5, which is a nice in-between move. So after I take the rook, look at this, d5, because the knight can't move anywhere. So I'm like, bro, I'm up a piece. This should be clean, right? Well, he gets some pawns for it. He gets another pawn. I take, then he goes b7, which is super annoying. I move my rook out of the way. He takes another pawn here. I take, and now look how many pawns he has. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 pawns versus 1, 2, 3, 4. So virtually he's up 3 pawns for the piece, right? Or he has 3 pawns for the piece. Okay, cool. I go e2. He goes rook here, and instead of, you know, this is going to be weird if I go rook b7. So I actually get these rooks off the board, make it a lot easier for me. It's literally like -4 right now. He goes king h2, takes, and I'm supposed to go c6 here, which is a hard move to find. Not hard, but c6, knight a7, or something like this, and then rook takes b7, and like knight takes. It was just difficult. I was like, oh yeah, then there's a rook here. So I probably should have went for this c6 move to be able to get the rook down here. I just captured, and then I wanted to play c6 next. He goes king here, allows the king to get here quickly. So I go c6 now, kick the knight. He goes knight d6. I bring the rook down. He goes king to f2, attacking the pawn, defending the bishop at the same time. I find this nice move, bishop f4, attacks the knight. My next goal is to go bishop g3. I'm just trying to get some trades off so I can, you know, trade. I got the extra piece, but he does have 3 pawns for it. He goes e5, and then I go check, takes, and king back to f2. Right, there's no tricks with the rook, so I should have went rook a1 is what the engine says, but I went rook c1. I think it's more practical because I'm separating the pawns. Like if I go rook a1 and take this one, then there's a pawn chain still. But if I go rook c1 and I take this pawn, then this is all separated. This was my idea. So he takes, I take, and here we go. He goes e6, It's getting close. I'm like, oh, cool. Knight f6. I have this covered. He goes e7. And now, guys, I want you to try to find some moves here. What should black play in this position? So pause the video if you need to. I give you guys a few minutes, obviously, you know, to do it. We're not going to sit here for the few minutes, but definitely pause the video on your own here. But I'm going to do a quick pause here for you guys to try to find a move. Black to move. What should you play? There's a few of them, and then I'll show you what was played in the game. So, few moves here. Rook b3, and no one's playing this one ever. Okay. Rook a3. I don't know what the, rook a3 is definitely a move. Rook b3 is definitely strange. Rook c2 check, right? You know, these are all moves. Rook a3 is a move. And here, I think maybe I was getting in time trouble. I know I was getting lower on time, and I was like, okay, I need to like figure this out. And so I calculated this thing of like, you know, there's this g4, g5 idea that's going to be super annoying for me. Right, super annoying. So I was calculating if I go rook a3, this is what I think my calculations. Rook a3, g4, I go king g7, there's a g5, right? And I have to find this crazy move, knight e8. And then after knight takes, king f7, knight f6, king e7, knight takes. This is what I calculated. Rook takes and like a king here. And I wasn't the most sure about this, like check, king here, and then I could take this one. Knight goes back to f6. And like, yeah, okay, this is winning, but this is difficult. And it's actually -4 here, but it's not as easy because it feels like he can grab this pawn, and it's just not that easy. I remember looking at some of this stuff, so I was like, okay, you know, this is something that he has with all these pawns, this whole idea of doing this. And even let's actually fast forward to like rook a3, g4. What about h6? He could actually go h4, right? Same idea, because I can't take this, and g5's coming. So I remember calculating all of this. So when he went e7, I was like, oh, and I thought I found a clever idea to actually do this move right here. I play king to g7, double question mark here. Why is it double question mark? Well, what he does here is he plays this move right here. He goes knight e4. I could just end the stream. I could just end the video right here. Just right here. I almost flipped the board in front of me. I remember streaming this game, and I was thinking to myself, if I flip this board right now, what would happen? Like if I just like, you know, just forget it, chuck the whole board and just do, like, what would happen? And then I collected my thoughts, and I said, we can't do that. And this one hurt. This one was a heartbreak because I'm winning and immediately I'm now losing. Wait, why? Because knight e4 is a brilliant move. If I take, he queens. If I move the rook, he takes the knight, and I can't stop the queen, bro. I was sick. I was sick, bro. I was so hurt when this happened because I'm like, bro, come on. Literally one move. A one move game. I got in a little time trouble. And I thought I could go king g7 with the idea of knight e8 next, then king f7. But knight e4, all because of the placement of the stupid rook on c3. I remember this game. So king g7, he goes knight e4, and now he's winning. I go king f7, actually. Just to, you know, because there's nothing else. He takes the rook, and now I'm just in a losing end game. Now I'm down a pawn after being up some material. And here's the rest. So obviously we just go through the rest of the game. Like, I fought on as much as I could. And like I even won the pawn, and I was like, okay, cool. And it was close. Like there are some stalemating possibilities. Like I got my king to the corner. I played knight g6. Like, come on, bro, take the knight. You know, like take the knight because it's stalemate, right? Because he has all the squares. But it's yeah, there was nothing. There was nothing. Yeah, there was nothing. As you see here, I go knight e7. I'm still fighting with stalemate tricks. And after g7, I resign because there's nothing. If king here, there's knight f6 mate. And if king here, knight f6, king f7, and then, wait, king here. Oh, yeah, king here, knight takes e7. And then he queens anyway, it doesn't matter. So, lost this game off of one move blunder, which really hurt so bad. Knight e4 loses the game. But if I do anything else, even the check wins, I'm winning, and I should be able, I mean, at bare minimum, you know, you're playing for 2 results, aka a draw. So, tough game here. Learned a lot from that. It's just always keep looking at your opponent's ideas, and etc. And like, you have to do what you have to do. You're better with calculation, of course, as we got a lot sharper from this tournament. calculation wise, but there's more videos, of course, and there's more games to cover. So hopefully you enjoyed and learned something from this one. Make sure you guys hit the sub button under the video, and I'll see you on the next one.